Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, At Home with Willowberry. Or if you're new, welcome. But where have you been? I'm so happy to see you here. My name is Valerie, and in today's video, I'm putting together a fall display. I bake some pumpkin bread, and I make a delicious one-pan chicken bacon gnocchi here in my double wide located up in the mountains of Virginia. So if you're interested, then I hope you'll stick around and enjoy the video. How are you all doing today? I sure hope you're doing great. We're doing pretty good. We've just been spending our days working on renovating our double-wide mobile home fixer-upper, taking care of Granny, and spending time with our boys. We're trying to enjoy these last days of summer, but to be honest, I'm so ready for fall I can't even stand it. I don't know what it's like where you live, but here in the mountains, the weather has been absolutely beautiful. The sun has been shining bright and the temps are finally cooling down, so I've been spending as much time outdoors as possible. Oh yeah, I've got some great news to share with y'all. Some of our chickens have begun laying eggs. So far we've collected 8 eggs over the past 4 days. I'm planning to bake some pumpkin bread later this afternoon, so I'll get to use our farm fresh eggs that our sweet little hens have provided for us. How exciting is that? Well, y'all, I've been wanting to put together a fall display here in the backyard, so today's the day. I went to Lowe's this morning and they were putting out mums and coneflowers and croton plants, so I picked out a few flowers to use in my display. I swore I wasn't going to spend any more money on fall decor this year, but I just couldn't resist. Alright, well, as soon as I finish out here in the yard, I'm going to head back inside to bake the pumpkin bread and fill the house with the sweet smell of fall. Well, y'all, who's ready to bake some pumpkin bread? I know I am. What better way to get in the fall spirit than to fill the house with the smell of fall? You know, the smell of pumpkin, cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves, which I'll be using to make the pumpkin bread with. To get started, I'm going to gather all the ingredients that I'll need to bake the pumpkin bread. The recipe calls for softened butter, but I forgot to take the butter out of the fridge earlier today, so I'll need to soften it by popping it in the microwave on the defrost mode for 20 to 30 seconds, which works every time. I'm following a recipe that I found on onceuponachef.com, and I'll leave it linked in the description box just in case you guys want to give it a try. Once I finish mixing together the dry ingredients, then I'll head over to the stand mixer to cream the butter and sugar together, to which I'll add 4 of our chicken eggs. The recipe calls for 2 large eggs, but right now our chickens are laying tiny little eggs at the moment. According to Google, it's normal for young chickens to lay small eggs at first, but they should start getting bigger with the more eggs that they lay. So far our chickens are laying green and blue eggs, which is so fun, y'all. I think they are coming from the Easter eggers. It's going to be even more fun once they all start laying eggs, because the black copper Morans will lay dark brown eggs, and the silver lace Wyandottes will lay light brown eggs. We also have olive egger chickens, which lay anywhere from a light olive green to a dark olive green egg. I tell you what, I've wanted chickens for a long time, and I'm so glad we finally have some. They are a lot of fun to care for, and it's even more fun now that they started laying eggs. While the butter, sugar, and eggs are doing their thing in the mixer, I'm going to go ahead and get the bread pans ready. I need to grease the pans with butter, and then I'll flour them, so hopefully the pumpkin bread will come out whole when I'm ready to remove them. The butter, sugar, and eggs are all creamy and fluffy, so now it's time to add the pumpkin puree. Once the pumpkin is all mixed in, then I'll add the dry ingredients. It won't be long now till I get the pumpkin bread in the oven, and the house will soon be filled with the sweet smell of fall. Alright, the bread is in the oven. It's going to bake for 65 to 75 minutes in a 325-degree oven. And while the bread is baking, I'm going to go ahead and clean up my mess and wash some dishes. Well, y'all, it's been about an hour and 10 minutes, so it's time to check on the pumpkin bread. I tell you what, it sure smells delicious in here, so here's hoping it's ready, because I'm ready to go sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee with a warm slice of pumpkin bread, that's for sure. Y'all, that pumpkin bread sure hit the spot. It was so good. But now it's much later in the day, so it's time to make dinner. Tonight, I found a recipe for chicken bacon gnocchi. Gnocchi are small, soft Italian dumplings made from potato, flour, and eggs. They are typically boiled and served with various sauces, such as tomato, pesto, or butter. Tonight, I'll be making a creamy garlic sauce to cook the gnocchi in. Well, y'all, the first thing I need to do is gather together the ingredients to make the creamy chicken bacon gnocchi, and then I'll fry up the bacon. All right, well, let's make dinner. The bacon is frying up in the pan, so now I'm cutting the chicken up. Once the bacon is finished cooking, I'll remove it from the pan and drain the bacon grease, reserving a couple of tablespoons to cook the chicken in. I've never made this recipe before, but I can already tell it's going to be super simple to make, and it comes together in under 30 minutes, which makes it perfect for a weeknight meal. The bacon has finished cooking, so once I've removed it from the pan, I'll add back a couple of tablespoons of the bacon grease to cook the chicken in. I'll cook the chicken in the bacon grease for about 5 minutes or until the chicken reaches an internal temperature of at least 165 degrees. y'all, the chicken is finished cooking, so now it's time to make the garlic cream sauce. To make the cream sauce, I'll first add some garlic to the pan and allow it to saute for a minute or so, or just until it's fragrant. Next, I'll add some heavy cream, chicken broth, Italian seasoning, the gnocchi, and the cooked bacon into the pan. At this point, I'll cover the pan with a lid and cook the chicken, bacon, gnocchi for about 5 minutes in order for the gnocchi to cook through. Okay, well, it's time to pull this dinner together. Well, while the chicken bacon gnocchi finishes cooking on the stove, I'm going to go ahead and wash up a few more dishes. Y'all are probably wondering what Tim has been up to today. He's been busy working on the floors in our master bedroom. Later, after dinner, we're going to start laying down the new subfloor, so make sure you stick around till the end if you'd like to see where we're at as far as renovations go. Guess what? Dinner is ready, y'all, so it's time to dig in. I'm going to go ahead and get dinner served up, and then Tim and I will head out to the front porch to enjoy some chicken bacon gnocchi. Wow, y'all, this chicken bacon gnocchi sure is delicious. It's creamy and garlicky and full of flavor. I'll definitely be making this dish again, that's for sure. Alright, well, after we finish our dinner, we're going to get back to work on the renovations. We have a subfloor to lay down. Well, this is exciting, y'all. After all the demolition, we are finally ready to start laying the subfloor here in our bedroom. I think we've decided to focus on the bedroom for now, so once we finish the bedroom, then we can work on the bathroom later. Tim and I are currently camped out in the living room, which is no fun at all, so instead of working on the bed and bath at the same time, we're going to focus on the bedroom first, so that way we can move back into our room hopefully sometime before Christmas. Well, y'all, I guess that's about it for another video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time hanging out with you today, and I can't wait to talk to you again real soon. I sure hope you all have a great week. Bye, y'all.